There's a orangutan in my bedroom and I don't know what to do. She plays with all my teddies and keeps borrowing my shoe. She destroys all of my houseplants and she keeps on shouting, ooh. She throws away my chocolate and she howls at my shampoo.
In this ad, a little girl finds a very naughty, misbehaving baby orangutan causing havoc in her bedroom, like making a mess. And the little girl is annoyed, but as she's about to kick the little orangutan out of the room, she suddenly feels, wow, I need to know why it was here in the first place. So she asks, and that's when the story takes a turn from a beautiful, wholesome animation to a very dark version of it when we see the world from the baby orangutan's point of view.
There's a human in my forest and I don't know what to do. He took away my mother and I'm scared he'll take me too.
I think when you're launching a campaign like Rangtang, it's obviously quite complicated because you've got rainforests, you've got them being destroyed for an agricultural commodity like palm oil, and you've got iconic species like orangutans being threatened. So how do you tell quite a complex story in a very simple way was the challenge. Now was critically important in terms of timing because you had all these big corporations like Unilever, Nestlé, Mondelez, who had agreed to stop deforestation by 2020 for the supply of commodities going into their products like palm oil. So the countdown is beginning, and this really was the start of that countdown for when they had to deliver on their promises.
The instinct is to go quite edgy and cutty to begin with. So when you're working on Greenpeace and cause-related briefs, and the natural tendency is to go a bit more aggressive. And we had those ideas as well. But in this case, this specific brief was about an endangered species that is very close to us. So they're the closest relatives we have in nature. So we felt very early on that an emotional approach would work stronger because we needed empathy. And I think that's where we ended up going for, like empathy. And even though Greenpeace is normally known for something a bit more abrasive and in your face, I think Greenpeace tends to adapt to the challenges that they have. And in this case, I think this was the right solution for them. Dare I compare us to the masters of like animation that appeal to adults and children. Pixar, DreamWorks, like Disney, they all managed to do things that cater for a very broad audience. And in this case, that was our brief. Like we need to touch like so many people around the world, and we can't exclude a target audience. And in this case, we wanted a story that could appeal to children, but will be even more rich and deeper experience for adults.
The issue around animation was an interesting one because we didn't actually know whether animation would work or not, and we didn't also know whether producing something at 90 seconds in today's world, maybe a bit ironic, was too long. But actually, animation in this case has worked fantastically well, and also people are staying through the whole 90 seconds. So I think a lot of the things that we were worried about originally when we agreed to go ahead with an animation actually is not proved correct. Actually, we've been pleasantly surprised about how well it has done.
If you would ask me if there is any new ways of doing things, I'd say it's the way that we use techniques such as VR to create the spaces. So, for instance, if we create a set, I could make a screenshot of the set, or I could draw a set, paint a set from one perspective, one angle, share it with somebody else and ask for feedback. Or I could create this space and then send the 3D environment, the VR environment, and let this person also with VR tools look at it. This is similar to a process in feature films where directors ask for models to be built and make decisions on the models they see.
So you've pulled people in with like, there's a orangutan in my bedroom, you've built up that kind of frustration, that annoyance, this little girl kind of loses it, and to an extent you empathize with this little girl. You know, this orangutan's messing up her room and stuff, and I think the moment that the writing and the style both flip on their head, and suddenly it's like there's a human in my forest and I don't know what to do, I think the impact of that line, combined with this black and white, quite brutalist imagery, I think is the most impactful part of the film.
So the response to Rangtang has been phenomenal. I mean, in the first week we've had over 2 million views, and just in the UK alone, and this has gone out globally, but in the UK alone we've already had over 60,000 people have signed the petition. I think using celebrities always helps, and I think Emma Thompson was just fantastic in terms of the voiceover she did. She was amazingly generous in her time and in her support for the campaign, and I think that's, you know, it's great for us, not just in terms of the quality of her work was fantastic, but also in terms of then the media coverage and the PR that you can get from using a celebrity has obviously been huge, and that's encouraged other celebrities to support it as well. Liam Payne from One Direction, he tweeted it out and got 10,000 retweets. You know, I mean, it's just amazing how far and how wide the celebrities' reaches. So their support for the campaign has been really brilliant.
People don't realize that where their money goes to empower companies on their behalf to do things that those people wouldn't agree with. So I think we need to be more responsible and actually demand that companies and brands that we actually support and buy into are much more tuned into the values that we live our lives by. So I think that brands need to start listening to what their consumers actually care about and respect those things, because otherwise their brands and their products won't exist for much longer.
We've got really clear objectives in terms of our campaign plans to get the corporations to deliver on their promise by 2020. In an ideal world, we would like to see tens of millions of people watch Rangtang, take action after watching Rangtang, and really put pressure on these brands to deliver.